Number two, if you're a Roman guard on duty and you fall asleep, how do you know what happened? Like, we were asleep, and while we were sleeping, we noticed that the disciples came down here and they took this. But no.
The Bible talks about an argument against the resurrection, that the disciples stole the body, or that, trying to make it to be something that it's not. So I'm just curious, like, when that is brought to the attention of skeptics, what is their response to that, or what are your thoughts as far as why is that attacked?
Actually, what you're saying here is what is known as enemy testimony. What's enemy testimony? Enemy testimony is very powerful because, look, if your mother says you're brave, we go, okay, that's mom. But if your arch enemy says you're brave, what does that say about you? You're brave, right? If the enemies, so-called enemies of Christianity, were admitting the tomb was empty by coming up with a story that the disciples stole the body while the guards were asleep, what is that admitting about the tomb? That it was empty. So Matthew, who's writing his gospel to Jews, never would have put that in there unless it was true. And there is a Jewish source early on that actually admits that's our explanation. The disciples came and stole the body while the guards were asleep. Now, that doesn't make any sense for a couple of reasons. Number one, if you're a Roman guard on duty and you fall asleep, what happens to you? You're toast. Number two, if you're a Roman guard on duty and you fall asleep, how do you know what happened? Like, we were asleep, and while we were sleeping, we noticed that the disciples came down here and they took this. But no, it makes absolutely no sense, but it's enemy testimony. Now, to expand this question out a little bit, what's happened in recent years with regard to New Testament scholars who are not Christians, people like Bart Ehrman at UNC Chapel Hill and others, when they look, they used to adopt an alternative theory to the resurrection. Those are hallucinations or something like that, right? They don't pick an alternative theory anymore because they know everyone they pick is flawed. And so what do they say now? They go, we don't know what happened. They don't have an explanation. And Gary Habermas, the top guy in the world on the resurrection, is approaching 5,000 pages in his magnum opus on the resurrection. And he wants to get it done before he dies. So look out for that. And he covers all this in that book.